everyone, it's Lauren J. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. I like to do get ready with me style videos using products that are new to me, or just need a little bit more love in my collection. Today I'm going to be using products that need much more love in my collection. It's going to be a shorter one today. I'm going to share a few embarrassing stories with you, and then we are going to get on with our week. So if you're interested in hearing some embarrassing stories from Chanel, please keep watching. Okay, as per usual, skincare sunscreen already done. Brows with the Stylo Sourcils in Brun Clair from Chanel, and my eyes are primed with the ABH primer because I am doing a little bit of a brighter look today. So we're just going to be playing around and just throwing some things together while I try to keep my thoughts together in telling these stories. I don't know that they're actually stories, but they're funny, embarrassing, mortifying things that happened to me in Chanel. So I thought I would just do them here. I will say that I am incredibly inspired to do this by Deb from Wildunfiltered. She just released a video on a bunch of embarrassing luxury moments for her. So go watch her video on this if you haven't. I think she has 10 stories. I only have 3. So to start off, I am going back in with the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. So this is in number 1. It is just the sort of putty-like kind of formula, and I really do like this, so I am going back to it. You can see how much I have used it. And just applying with my fingers a lighter layer, I guess. And so my first story is from the mothership. So this is from Rue 31, Cambon, in Paris. So it was my first trip to Paris my only trip to Paris in 2018. And it was probably one of the first days that I was in Paris, because I know I made it one of my first stops during my trip. And it was a really beautiful, like, fun day. I think it might have been raining. I think it rained the first couple days I was in Paris. But it was a really, like, beautiful day nonetheless, because I was in this beautiful city. I was seeing new things and just feeling really confident about myself. There's a church just down from Rue Cambon that I had visited, not really for religious reasons, but just because, you know, it was an old church. So I'd visited that, and so I kind of got my quiet moment in, some time to breathe before I walked down Rue Cambon and went in. And back in 2018, at least on the day I went, it was during the week. It was, again, 2018, before the sort of luxury blow up of, you know, 2020 and everything that happened afterwards. But, you know, just walked right in. And, you know, of course I had to take pictures of myself outside. So I was taking pictures of myself in the mirror, and I didn't really know what I wanted at that point. I had kind of been out of the fashion game for a while, and I really wasn't into purses and things. So I just knew I really had always loved Chanel, and that was really kind of a destination for me. You know, I wanted to see the staircase, which I didn't end up seeing because I didn't know where it was, and I was of course too embarrassed to ask, because French is not my first language, and I only really knew a very little bit of it. I tried, I really did try, but this is kind of why you should really try to learn a language before you go to a city that speaks a different language, because things like this can happen, because sometimes your brain just dies. And yeah. Okay, do I have enough blurring balm powder on my face? I think I do. Starting on my eyes, I'm going to go in with the Le Catron number 78 Rivage. And I'm going to take a little bit of the blue color on one of the sponge applicators. So this is me on one of my first days in Paris, standing outside 31 Rue Cambon, thinking I have really done something with my life, and I finally made it to Paris. I finally made it to the apartments of, you know, the original Chanel store, Coco Chanel's original apartment, and I'm in my sailor stripe dress, and I'm pretty sure I had my Chanel ballet flats on, and a very prim and proper. I had my short hair back then, and I walked in, and they were very, very nice. They were very, very nice. Everyone was very sweet, very like welcoming, and telling me to come on in. And um, so there was originally the security guard who opens the door for you, and then as you walk in on each side there is a sales assistant, and they both, and I'm just kind of looking around, kind of, you know, just enjoying the moment, and these two sales assistants, they both look at me, and one says, "Bienvenue." And my brain died, because I know I'd heard that word before. I knew that word was vaguely something about hi something, and I couldn't for the love of me remember what bienvenue meant. My brain was just like, what's going on in my head? I was trying to go through Spanish and whatever, just to like try to remember some sort of parallel word. I knew it wasn't good morning. I knew it wasn't hi. I knew it was something more formal, and I just could not remember what bienvenue meant. I knew in my brain in Spanish bienvenidos was similar, and so I couldn't think, and I knew I had to say something, and I had to say something in French because they spoke to me in French, and so I just looked at them, and both of them, and said bienvenue, and they just looked at me and were like, come on in. And I did. I knew I got that wrong. I couldn't figure out what it was that I got wrong. I just knew I got it wrong, and I'd very much embarrassed myself. And I did not end up, I looked around, and I didn't end up purchasing anything. I was just so embarrassed. Also just trying to enjoy the moment that I could salvage, and then I got the hell out of there. Because first of all, again, I wasn't super there to spend money on luxury. I knew I kind of wanted a small thing, but even in 2018, you know, brooches and bags especially, and shoes were kind of way, way out of my price range, especially because I was traveling really economically at that point. And so I just got the hell out of there. And then I, you know, as I'm walking down the street and doing other things that day and just enjoying my day in Paris, I didn't let it ruin my day. I was just like, this is embarrassing. I guess this is a stupid story. But, and then as soon as you know, I walked away, and I'm thinking about it later in the day, and then I realized bienvenue means welcome. So they welcomed me into Rue 30 Cambon, and I said welcome back to them. And I couldn't even hate, because when I walked away, I knew I'd said the wrong thing, and I heard both of them as I walked away giggle at each other, and I was like, oh no, oh no. But the upshot of it is that I did not let it intimidate me from ever going back, because I was there for 5 days, and I was like, I'm not going to let this experience, my embarrassment, define me in Rue 31 to a brand that means so much to me. So I did end up going back another time, and I did end up buying one of my beautiful favorite shawls ever. I ended up, I still have the shawl. I wore it for my 40th birthday a couple of years ago, and I have a fun, stupid memory from my first visit to Chanel, and I have an amazing memory from my second visit to Rue Cambon Chanel, because I remember I was feeling a bit sick that day, and, you know, traveling cold, whatever, and I remember them being really, really nice to me. I had picked something out that I wanted. I showed them the picture. She went in the back to look for it, and they had like the last one there. And they gave me orange juice and, you know, taught me all about how to file for getting my taxes, my VAT back, and all of that. So it ended up being a really wonderful, luxurious experience. It was just that my very first visit to Rue 31 Cambon was me making a complete idiot out of myself. So there's that. So my second story of completely embarrassing myself at a Chanel store, because I am the most awkward person alive, comes from Las Vegas. So, I mean, at least these stories come from places that I've traveled to and have really, you know, good memories of. And if you're going to embarrass yourself internationally or on the road, you might as well embarrass yourself in Chanel, right? It was at the Wynn at Chanel, or the Chanel at the Wynn, I should say. And I remember it was really crowded. There wasn't, we weren't at the point, it was March 2022, but there were no lines because, again, it was in the middle of the week. They were just kind of like happy. At this point, they were just happy to have travelers back. Restrictions were easing. Things were getting close to back to normal. So they were just like, everyone come on in, shop, please. But I just remember there were quite a few people. I mean, it wasn't packed like a sardine in there, but there were not enough sales associates. So again, I knew I wanted to buy something. It was my first trip after COVID, and of course I had, you know, saved some money from, you know, basically putting my life on hold for 2 years like everyone else in the world. But I just couldn't get anyone to like pay attention to me, which, you know, fair. There's people trying to buy bags, there's people trying to buy shoes, and I'm just wandering around trying to figure out what it is that I want. And so I just kind of kept making a circle and being really annoying. Yes, I am one of those annoying customers. I'm like, I'm not going to leave until someone pays attention to me, because I would like to spend money here at Chanel. And I don't get to go to a Chanel often, so it's not like I can just go down the road. And I'd been to the one at the Bellagio and didn't get an incredibly fun, like, welcoming vibe from them, but I was just kind of in and out to look at some makeup, so it wasn't really a excursion. But the one at the Wynn was really, you know, like I said, big and open, and they were letting everyone in, and I just couldn't get anyone to help me. So I was kind of making a circuit, walking around, looking at shoes, thinking, do I want some sandals? Do I want some ballet flats? What do I want? I want to get something just to commemorate my time here in Las Vegas, because a lot of the reason I went to Vegas was to do a bunch of luxury shopping. And I just really wanted a piece of something, and it was getting towards the end of my trip. And I just couldn't get anyone to pay attention to me. So I just kept walking around, and I'm not the kind of person who's like, excuse me, can you help me here? Can you help me? Can you help me? Anyone? Can you help me? I'm just awkward, and I walk around and make everyone else feel awkward until they help me or kick me out, which hasn't happened yet, but you know, there's time for that. And again, I'm kind of making like my 8th circuit around, I don't know if it was that long, but I'm making like my 8th circuit around Chanel, and I'm just kind of like moseying around and going into different parts of the store and not really paying attention to where I'm going, because I'm looking at all the shoes and the bags. And I was kind of walking towards one of the security guards, and no one was talking to me. They were just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, okay. And I was just looking around, walking, and all of a sudden I just went, I'd walked into one of the mannequins, not one of the full standing mannequins, one of the ones where, you know, where the legs stick out because they're showing you shoes on the end of the feet, but the knees are sticking out of the cove. And so I ran into the legs of the mannequin, and nothing fell. Shoes didn't fall off, or not that I remember. I don't think any shoes fell. But the security guard was right there, and he was like, hey, I'm like, I'm sorry, and I didn't leave. I didn't. Again, I'm awkward. I'm used to being awkward, and I didn't leave. And but yeah, I sure did walk into that mannequin. And I think maybe that got people's attention, because I think it was not too long after that when someone, it was Jamie actually, the sales associate that I had a really good relationship with. She came, that's when I met her, and she came out from beauty and started helping me. She did my makeup, and I bought a bunch of stuff. I also bought my beautiful bandeau, which is actually that bandeau that's on my Ferragamo bag right there. So I ended up getting a bunch of stuff from Chanel, and embarrassing myself yet again in Chanel. So I have one more very recent embarrassing story from Chanel, and it comes all the way from Dublin, where I just came back from in April. And I've kind of made it my thing now that I'm sort of back into luxury and very much into luxury beauty and dipping my toe into handbags, and I've always been into shoes and, you know, accessories and things, and sort of creeping my way up to ready to wear if it doesn't creep up too far in price before I get there. So I went to Brown Thomas in Dublin on Grafton Street, because that's the premier department store that has all of the luxury boutiques in it. So they have, it is Louis Vuitton, Chanel on one side, and then I think Hermes in the middle. So of course I beelined to Chanel. That was my first stop. I had also walked by the windows a couple of times before then. I had this all planned out in my mind that I was gonna find some perfect little souvenir, and I did, and I've shown it to you. And you know, again, it's that typical thing of like walking into Chanel and you don't have an appointment. There's no line because it's in the middle of the week, and you know, you just kind of wander in. I was with my mom at the time, and I was just kind of thinking of maybe an SLG or something like that. And we walked in, and it's a very small boutique. Like, it's pretty tiny. There's quite a bit of stuff in there, you know, brooches and not handkerchiefs, silk scarves, and they've got a wall of bags, but it's not like a giant selection because it is a small boutique. But they do have a jewelry section, and we kind of walked in, we walked around, looked, and kind of walked back towards the door, and then I kind of stopped and looked at some jewelry, and then finally someone came up to me and, you know, asked me if I wanted to look at anything, and I said yes, I wanted to look at the Coco Crush line, because I just bought my ear cuff for my birthday, and I wanted to look at some more stuff from the line. I wanted to try on some rings and some of the bangles. And so he took us over to the corner by the fine jewelry, and he pulled out a bunch of the Coco Crush rings. And I'm not really in the market for like diamond covered anything, because that's just, I'm not here to buy a $5,000 ring, at least not yet. Maybe for my 50th birthday I'll get there, but I just wanted to try them on. And so he was pulling out different versions, different sizes of the Coco Crush. I really love the beige gold. That is, again, my ear cuff. I love that sort of rose gold version that Chanel has, and I'm looking to maybe stack some of them, but again, I wanted to try on the rings and the bangles. And so he kept pulling out these rings, and he kept giving them, you know, giving me different like sizes to try on. And with the Coco Crush, I don't want to wear it like a wedding ring on my ring finger. I want to wear it on, you know, different fingers and see how you can stack it. So he he gave me the one in white gold, which is the most expensive gold in the Coco Crush line, and it was covered in diamonds, just covered in diamonds. And I'm like, this is a $7,000 ring, and I'm just like, he's like, just try it on, just see how it fits. So I slipped it on, and I'm pretty sure I slipped it on my middle finger, because again, I just wanted to see how it fit on different fingers. And My fingers, I don't know. I don't think they're weird fingers. I think your knuckles are supposed to be bigger than the rest of your finger, but I slid it on. I got it down over my knuckle, and I got it, and it was a little bit tight, but it looked beautiful. It was a little bit thick for me, that size, and I was like, oh, that's really, really beautiful. I really like it, but I don't know that it's the right, size for me, and I'm just chatting. My mom's over here chatting away, and I go to take it off. I can't get it off. I can't get the ring off. I can't get the ring off. I'm pulling on this ring. I cannot get it off. And I'm like, okay, I just need to breathe. I just need to relax. I wasn't sweaty, but I was starting to feel like my hands weren't sweaty, but I was starting to feel sweaty on my brow. And I'm trying to get it off, and it's not coming off, and I'm twisting it, and I'm twisting it, and I'm sitting there for like, and my mom is like, you just need to relax. You just need to relax. You'll get it off. And I'm just like, for 5 minutes, I tried to get this ring off. And the sales assistant was very, very cool about it. He's like, you just need to relax. It's fine. You'll get it off. Clearly I'm not walking out the store with a diamond encrusted white gold Cocoa Crush ring. And I'm not getting it cut off either. I guess you would have to decide whether to cut off my finger or cut off the ring. Which one's more valuable? You decide. I would assume it would be my finger, but who knows? You might have other priorities. Chanel might have other priorities. So I just wanted to get the ring off. And finally, it came off. Finally, it came off. And then he gave me another ring. And I put that ring on. And it got stuck. Again. But as you can see, I still have all my fingers. I did get the ring off eventually. Woo, excuse me. Talk about this is what I mean when I say I'm the most graceless person in the world. Things like this just happen to me all the time. I bump into things. I have no sense of space, I guess. I don't know. So I did get both rings off, and I was like, you know what, let's try some bangles. Try some bangles instead. And I made sure to ask when he gave me the bangle, because I tried on one of the new slim Cocoa Crush bangles. And I was like, is this the kind that you slip on and slip? And he's like, nope, it has an opening. You twist it. Like, he showed me. It was perfect. Great. Put it on me. Get it off me. It looked beautiful. I fell in love with it. It was $5,000. I was not going to bring that home with me, but now I have that on my wish list. And didn't go home with the Cocoa Crush item, but I did go home with my mini 31 and or like micro, whatever they're calling it. The baby coin purse 31 is what I went home with. And so that is my embarrassing story from the Dublin Brown Thomas Chanel boutique. My life is fabulous. So I thought maybe you would enjoy hearing me talk about some of the times that I completely face planted at Chanel. Because we always have, or at least I do when it comes to luxury, and when it comes to Chanel in particular, I have this sort of dream, this vision of who I am when I walk into Chanel and how it makes me feel, and the elegance and the luxury and the perfection. And then there's just me in reality and who I am. So just some funny, embarrassing stories to hopefully help you get through your day today, and know that when it comes to luxury things like this, it's a lot of money, but it's not all that serious in the end. It's not all that serious. It's not all that important in the end, and just have fun with your life. And if you face plant in Chanel, just go back the next day, because they'll welcome you in. It's fine. Just don't be a jerk about it. So I hope you enjoyed hearing these stories and watching me use some of my favorite makeup. I just thought I would do a little purple and blue pop color ode to Meteorites and the beautiful poppy colors that are in that collection, with some products that need more love in my collection. In addition to Rivage, I also used La Quatrome in 68 Delices. This was from the LeBlanc collection last year with the with the purple shade that I used on my lid, and of course the Stylo Yeux in Bleu Abysse and the Stylo Yeux in Beige Lumiere. Speaking of not being able to speak French. And I used a bit of my Mermaid Glow Balm Essential. I used the Beige Water Fresh blush in Deep Apricot. And I used the Sky High Lash Sensational from Maybelline. This is in True Brown. I used my Guerlain Meteorites from the holiday. And my favorite lip combo of the moment is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk, and this little sample of the wet lip oil from Kosas. This was the birthday gift from Sephora, or part of the birthday gift, and this is in Unbuttoned, I believe. And I think it's a beautiful nude combo, really pretty. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a short one today. That's what I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Any of those would be welcome. All of them would be deeply, deeply appreciated. And I will see you in the next one, guys.